Hello everyone, it's Mr. Patterson, and we are looking at U.S. history. This is Contract 2, the 6th class day, and we're looking at basically the ways that the United States, back in the 1800s and into the 1900s, looked to expand our influence in other countries. Overall, just as before, you're going to be analyzing relationships, so you need to see the connection between the rise of industrialization, large-scale migration, and massive immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe. So basically, when people left one country and started building up large urban centers, large cities in the United States, and through that, I want you to be able to trace the rise of the U.S. as it's rolled as a world power. Not just local power, not just on the east coast of the U.S., but an actual world power back in the 20th century. That's the early 1900s. Overall, because of this, I want you to be self-directed, so you're going to be doing some work on your own, you're going to be thinking on your own, and also academic proficiency. So if we boil it down in the next couple minutes, I want you to be able to learn about a couple ways that we have acted as an empire. An empire, once again, if you don't remember last time, an empire was really not just a country that controls its own land, but one that stretches out and controls other lands, and also how we became a world power. What is our objective? It's that right there. How we acted as an empire and became a major world power. Similar to last time, we're focusing on your big idea. Your big idea is that as the pace of westward expansion slowed, many Americans looked overseas for new opportunities. Once again, it's overseas. That's why we call it an empire. It's not just here in the U.S., it's in other countries. Some people viewed this as a chance to spread our culture and to help those who they considered less civilized. Others believe foreign markets would help our economy. So there's your two big motivators. Remember, we've talked about prejudice, racism, looking at other cultures and calling them less civilized. That's a common theme that we've referred to many times in this class. And also economy, that's our money. Two main reasons we might want to do this. These feelings eventually lead to the annexation of Hawaii and the opening of Japan to trade. The U.S. also brought many raw materials from Latin America, hoped to increase our sale of manufactured goods in that region. As we increased our influence, there's a good word there, influence in overseas markets, it developed the need for a strong, modern Navy to protect its international interests. It's kind of crazy because up until here, we're talking about this almost like it's a good thing. You know, we're going over into other countries, influencing them, taking our economy, trying to increase our influence. But you've got to have a strong modern Navy to protect our interests. We've got to have protection because not everybody is excited about having America get up in there. By the 1890s, the U.S. was becoming one of the top naval powers in the world. Oh, it's interesting. Top naval powers in the world. That right there. How we became a major world power. Cool. Just a quick review from last time. I gave you the example of Hawaii. In the case of Hawaii, this man here, John Stevens, went in. He says the Hawaiian pear is now fully ripe. He advocated actually going in and taking the Hawaiian Islands, making them a territory, removing Queen Lily over here from power. It could be a bad thing, it could be a good thing, depending on how you look at it. People who think it's a bad thing would clearly point to the fact that we are taking land from the Hawaiians. We are changing their culture, changing their lifestyle almost overnight. People who think this might be a good thing would point to the fact that we do oftentimes when we move into a country bring medicine and clean drinking water and schools and hospitals and all these sorts of things that the people of Hawaii enjoy today. As we've talked about a number of times, it's not always 100% good or 100% bad when you're looking at American history. There's different ways of looking at it. Could be good, could be bad. These are examples of Americans acting imperialistically, meaning taking over other countries. And if you remember just a second ago, we were talking about looking overseas to expand our culture. Hawaii is a great example of that. And then finally, you stopped last time with this foldable. So you talked about Japan, Hawaii, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico, and you actually put it together for each of the different years from 1853 all the way through 1900, telling me about these 4 different areas and how the U.S. acted as an empire. So at this point for this lesson, you should be pretty familiar with what's going on with this concept. We're going to start this off with just a quick thought question. Do you feel that we were right? That we were right in our actions in these countries? On the top of your work sample, this is one of the questions I want you to be thinking about. Were we right in doing this? And if we were right, how do you think other countries felt about our power? If we were wrong, how do you think other countries felt about our power? In your book for the reading, you're going to be using the American Vision book. Here's a picture of it up here in the corner, just like always. And in that American Vision book, you're going to be looking at page 312 to 314. Really quickly, a couple of ideas I want just to make sure that you are looking at. So we're going to start here on 312, looking at this idea of a sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence, it's a circle around you. I always think about like walking around in a bubble. We've got this area around ourselves that we have an influence on and that we have control over. And back in the day, the United States really wanted to expand our influence in other countries. One of the ways we expand our influence is through our business and our culture. So we asked other countries to have an open door policy, to open their doors up to us, especially Asian countries. Think China and Japan and the Philippines. And when we tell these countries that they need to open their doors to us, some countries are okay with it. Some countries go kicking and screaming. Here's an example of some guys, we called them the Boxers. The Boxers were Chinese people, and they did not like the idea of the United States getting involved in their business. The Chinese rebelled. We called it the Boxer Rebellion. The Boxer Rebellion because they were using karate, and back in the day we didn't actually have an English word for karate. No one really knew what karate was, so we said, hey, these guys in China are fighting us back, they're boxing us. The Boxer Rebellion is one great example of a culture who did not just go silently along with what we said. And in the Boxer Rebellion, you'll be reading about it on your own in a second, but it did not end well for them. Once again, in order for us to expand our sphere of influence, the United States was looking to have an open door policy, meaning have other countries open their doors to us. When they didn't go along with that, as in the case of the Boxer Rebellion, we end up fighting. We had something called the Great White Fleet. The Great White Fleet is interesting. We actually got a whole slew, meaning a whole lot of American warships. And we got our sailors and their guns and their cannons and everything together. And this Great White Fleet is going to literally take a trip around the world, going into all sorts of little islands and little areas and countries, basically flexing our muscles, showing off to other countries, showing other countries how strong we are, how experienced we are, and trying to intimidate them and scare them off. So to expand our sphere of influence, not only should other countries have an open door policy, we've got this Great White Fleet to kind of squash any possible rebellions before they end up happening. We also had this thing called the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. What that means is, in order to get involved and to expand our power, our control in places, especially the Caribbean and Central America, we decided to get involved in other countries just to keep others out. So for instance, if I'm doing business with, say, Mexico, and I want to expand my control in Mexico, maybe I'm not thinking that far along. I'm thinking, well, we'll just do, business as usual. And then all of a sudden, once I start noticing other countries like Spain, for instance, or France or England looking at Mexico and trying to get involved, what am I going to do? Well, according to the Roosevelt Corollary, I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to start getting more and more involved to try to shake off or scare off other countries. This is also sometimes called big stick diplomacy, meaning I'm going to speak softly but carry a big stick, maybe not be afraid to kind of scare off other people and to stake my claim in these lands. We additionally are going to refer over and over again throughout this period of time to dollar diplomacy. Dollar diplomacy is where I use my money to try to almost bribe countries. Sometimes we'll send hospitals, we'll send doctors, we send medicine, we send foreign aid, we send relief workers, we send food and clothing and shoes to all sorts of people in all sorts of countries. And the logic is that if we spend our money in those countries, we can get these other people to embrace our lifestyle and our culture, and hopefully that will carry on to them actually doing what we want. So in review, our dollar diplomacy, spending money in one country, is a really good way for us, especially in Latin America, to accomplish this Roosevelt Corollary, the idea that we want to get involved in these countries and have that influence. We'll use our money and our influence and sometimes even our military, that Great White Fleet, to show other countries that when we come in to expand our sphere of influence, they need to open their doors up to us. They do not need to do another Boxer Rebellion. The logic there is by showing off our power and our superiority in a military sense, we can scare off these little countries and get them to do what we want. Once again, on your paper here, you're going to see boxes that look just like this. and you are going to, in your own words, I'm not looking for a book definition, I'm looking for it in your own words. I want you to define your sphere of influence, the Great White Fleet, open door policy, Roosevelt corollary, the Boxer Rebellion, and dollar diplomacy. I want you to do your best to do these in your own words and not just copy down what the book says, because I want to see your logic and the way you're understanding this. By putting it in your own words and using a full sentence, I should be able to see that you not only understand the term, but you really understand the concept behind that term, and that's really what I'm getting at here. Overall, your follow-up question, and this is going to be on the back of your handout, how do you think that this open door policy and dollar diplomacy, how do you think that that's affected our relationship with other countries? How do you think other countries look at us and treat us, and what do you think their opinion is of us during this time? All in all, we're looking at the rise of the U.S. to their role as a world power back in the day in the 1900s, and especially we want to see how we acted as an empire. This lesson goes hand in hand with what we did last time with that foldable, talking about 4 other countries. The main difference is I don't need to know specifics about a certain country. I'm really wanting you to kind of focus in and think about these, the different terms. And just so you know, quick heads up, going forward, you're going to be next time writing about these terms and actually using them in a different way. So if you get to one of these and you're having a real tough time and you can't really figure it out, you need to come and talk to me one-on-one, or you can email me. Just like I told you last time, my email is always available, and is my phone number to the office here. If you need to call me, it's 486-1166. I'm extension 4115, or you can shoot me an email. The email address is jpatterson@agapeschools.org. Once again, that was jpatterson@agapeschools.org. I hope that you can be able to see a little bit of how we have acted as an empire going into other areas overseas and how we have become a world power. Once again, if you're having a hard time on this, I don't mind meeting with you one-on-one, but you got to get a hold of me. If possible, set up a time. But just like our goal with other countries, I will do my best to always have an open door policy with you. Yeah, that was kind of silly, I know. But that's pretty much it.